Welcome, everyone, to today's Target Ed. My name is David Gates, and I am part of the online education team here at GrantStation, and I'll be your host. Your presenters today are Alice Ruhnke, Michelle Tier, and Sean Goodell. Alice is the president of GrantStation, and Michelle and Sean are senior portfolio managers at AmeriCorps in the Midwest region. And today they're going to give you a broad overview of how national service programs differ so you can discover whether these programs could help your organization achieve its mission. So please welcome Alice Ruhnke.
Well, thank you, David, and welcome everyone. I'm delighted to have you all here and have such a large crowd, and also to have guest speakers today. Most of our target eds are kind of me talking, so it's a nice little treat to have some other folks sharing their wisdom about how national service programs can really help our organizations grow and develop. So I'm going to just start real quick with just some introductions. If Michelle, could you tell us just a little bit about your role in AmeriCorps?
Absolutely. Thanks for having us today. We're really happy to be here. My name is Michelle Tier. I'm a senior portfolio manager in the Midwest region of AmeriCorps. And so our region actually covers Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, and Michigan. But we're here to talk about AmeriCorps no matter where you sit in the United States. So happy to be here. I've been with the agency for about 15 years, really specializing my skills in AmeriCorps Vista and AmeriCorps Seniors. And my colleague Sean here really specializes with AmeriCorps State National, but both excited to be here and to talk with you more.
Excellent. And Sean, did you want to make any introductions of yourself besides that?
Michelle pretty much covered it all. Sean Gano, though, I'm also a senior portfolio manager with Michelle in the Midwest Regional Office. And I've been with the agency for about 3 years now. And prior to that, I worked in higher education and on the nonprofit sector, and I was a member of GrantStation.
That's excellent. Thank you so much for that little plug right there. So we'll take it. All right, so we'll go ahead and get right into some of the details, again, with really looking at what the different programs are, how they differ, how they're the same, and those sorts of things. So Michelle, can you start us out with just kind of an overview of what AmeriCorps is?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our mission statement up here on the screen. So the mission of AmeriCorps is to improve lives, strengthen communities, and foster civic engagement through service and volunteering. So we really do want to try to focus a little bit today on how AmeriCorps might be a good fit for your organization and help you to have, expand the mission of your organization and your community.
Absolutely. And how does AmeriCorps fit within national service? Are those terms synonymous or different from one another, or how does that work?
Yeah, we sort of describe national service as being a participant in one of the AmeriCorps programs. So whether you are a sponsoring agency that has members serving with you in national service or volunteers serving with you, but there would be the volunteers and the members would be participating in national service. And national service is an opportunity for people to volunteer their time and talent to make a difference in people's lives and get things done for AmeriCorps. That is our slogan. We do get things done for America. Through AmeriCorps, and AmeriCorps seniors and individuals of any age can serve. And so we'll talk a little bit more about those two branches of our programs and what individuals are the right fit for those. But they serve through their own communities and put their valuable skills to use in communities all over the nation.
Excellent. And, I kind of had forgotten, I think, a little bit about the, get things done part of your slogan. But just even our morning was a little bit about, we're going to get it done. Don't worry about it. A little bit behind the scenes, but definitely an AmeriCorps product there. So wonderful. Thank you so much. So do you want to talk just a little bit about kind of how the programs are organized and how the difference between what a member is and what an organization is?
Yeah, so we grant financial and human resources to nonprofits, state and local government agencies in order for them to strengthen their communities. So AmeriCorps is maybe not the right fit for all organizations, but we do have several different and flexible resources that might help your organization expand on its service so you can deliver to, more clients, improve your capacity, reach more communities with service. AmeriCorps programs really focus on one or more of 6 programmatic areas. So we have education, we have economic opportunity, veterans and military families, disaster services, healthy futures, and environmental stewardship. Those are our 6 big programmatic areas. We also have projects that pilot innovation and new ways to solve problems using the AmeriCorps resources. And while we won't be focusing as much on the AmeriCorps members today, AmeriCorps is a great option for people of all ages who feel that call to serve and want to make a difference in their own community.
Absolutely. And I've worked a lot throughout my career as well, working down in, in the weeds with the members and helping them build their own skills and those sorts of things, if it was Vista or AmeriCorps or any of the other programs. So there's a lot of value, to the organization and then to the people that are serving. So
absolutely, very mutually exclusive or mutual there of who gets the benefit for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So do you want to go into a little more detail on some of the different programs that are available?
Absolutely. So an AmeriCorps program is a set of community service activities that engage adults. We call the AmeriCorps members, but we have kind of a lingo here at AmeriCorps, so bear with us while you get used to that idea. But so it's a program is a set of community services that engages members and structured program that meets national AmeriCorps standards. So all of our AmeriCorps programs share these elements. They meet a community need. We want to make sure that you are able to show us like what need do you have and how can we help fill that. AmeriCorps members provide service directly to the community organizations, the individuals, the families, and then the program has measurable results within the grant period. These results are both for the community and for the AmeriCorps member, as we stated. Both are really getting a benefit out of it. So AmeriCorps programs should be designed to meet that community need and provide transformational service opportunities for the members. So examples of an AmeriCorps member activities might be supporting educational enrichment activities in an after-school program, serving as rural health coaches, or recruiting volunteers for small public service agencies. About 75% of AmeriCorps state and national funding each year is granted through our state service commission. Sean will be talking a little bit more about that in some upcoming slides. And the remaining funds are granted to national or multi-state organizations. So AmeriCorps members in these programs have a wide range of flexibility in terms of whether it be short-term summer position, which can be about 300 hours, or long-term 1-year positions, which are about 1,700 hours. And then there's some options in between as well.
Excellent. And, kind of going off of this slide too, with the, that people are identifying that community need, at their local level, but then is that also coming down from those 6 priority areas as well? So kind of what an education need would be or an environmental need would be?
Yeah, so under those focus areas that we have, Alice, then the community would identify under that, broader focus what their community need actually is. Yes.
Yep. Excellent. Okay, great.
I say this often when we're doing outreach meetings like this. We will not be the ones that come into your community and say, this is what you need to fix whatever A, B, C, or D is going on. We want it to be driven by the actual community organization, so that the impact that we're making in that community actually meets the needs of that community.
Absolutely. Yep. Very much at the local level, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. Excellent. Okay, so I do know that there's always a lot of questions when I'm kind of out in the world talking about AmeriCorps and what is the difference between AmeriCorps and then the term AmeriCorps Vista.
Sure.
So could you talk a little bit about what AmeriCorps Vista is?
Absolutely. And I kind of skipped over. Sean, was there anything that you wanted to add on the last slide about the AmeriCorps state and national programs?
Yeah, I think so. Just to maybe kind of like foreshadow some possible questions that may come up as we're talking about AmeriCorps and then AmeriCorps programs. Like you just asked about Vista. Vista is just, one of AmeriCorps programs. AmeriCorps State and National is also a separate product. And what differentiates, and it goes by ASN primarily, but what differentiates AmeriCorps State and National grants is that, so if you're the nonprofit organization and you want to apply for a grant to have members that will do direct service, you would go through your state's commission office instead of applying directly to AmeriCorps pretty much for all of our other products. The state commission offices in each state are our partners, and they serve as the pass-through entity. And since you would be applying for direct service project through the state commission office, they would be your grantee or your grantor, I mean. So there's often a little bit of confusion right there. And also there's a product called NCCC, which I think we'll talk about in a little bit. But other than that, all of the other programs are AmeriCorps senior products, also Vista, which we're about to talk about here shortly. You apply directly through AmeriCorps, and those come directly to us at the regional level. And in those cases, we would be the direct grantor.
Okay. And we will have some slides at the end too about where you can link up to get more information on the opportunities that you can apply for at all the different levels. But I do like the this distinction of AmeriCorps state and national programs providing that direct service. So when you apply and get this AmeriCorps grant, the members that you recruit and work and serve with you, they actually provide the direct services that your organization is providing. So, putting food on the food pantry shelves and helping the clients in the food pantry, or the, in the community doing health related work, they're actually doing that hands-on work.
Yeah.
Which is opposed to the Vista program that doesn't. So kind of just trying to make that connection there.
So my favorite way, Alice, to describe the difference between AmeriCorps State and National and Vista is I like to envision a community garden. And so there's two different sets of skills that might go into developing this community garden, right? So the AmeriCorps Vista is doing indirect service. So they might be getting the funding for the community garden. They might be finding the volunteers that are going to go in and actually work in the community garden. They might be getting the land donated for the community garden. They might be setting up the systems of the behind the scenes, like the schedule, who's doing what, when, and where. Where our AmeriCorps state and national members are the ones that are out there planting the vegetables and tending to the garden, because that's the direct service piece. So in my mind, that's a great way to visualize the two differences. And both are completely necessary in an organization. It just depends on what type of work is needed for different organizations we're working with.
Absolutely.
And you'll often hear capacity building with Vista. The primary focus with Vista is capacity building for your organizations. Yep.
And a lot of Vistas are working on things like helping develop that volunteer recruitment program, or looking for funding and applying for funds, or seeking out donations and things like that. So Vista is a really, really powerful tool to help in that kind of programmatic and financial development that your organizations would need to really thrive.
Yes, absolutely. One of the key differences with Vista as well that isn't quite the same with AmeriCorps State and National is there does have to be a direct link to poverty alleviation with the Vista as well. But when we described the overarching focus areas that we have, there's so many pieces of that: economic development, education, et cetera, that fall under, anti-poverty programming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, so as we said, the AmeriCorps Vista is the indirect service, sort of that behind the scenes, the ones getting the community garden up and ready to go. And it's, we're providing people power here. So it's organizational support for projects that's going to create, strengthen, and expand initiatives that are designed to move people out of poverty. So it's kind of like, I like to talk to organizations and say, like, what's on your bucket list, your dream list, that if you just had a few full-time people at your organization, you could accomplish. And that's what we want to do with Vista. We want to provide you a couple people power so that you can actually accomplish that dream list that has been sitting at your organization for a while that you just can't get to. That's how I like to envision Vista too. It's be able to actually accomplish a few of those things on your bucket list.
Absolutely. And I think everyone on this call has that list. And
Yes.
I know they just took it off there, Michelle, because it's a great way to put it there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So another program is the NCCC, as you guys
Yep.
call it a lot.
Yep.
Can you tell us what this program is about and what it does?
Absolutely. So the National Civilian Community Corps, or NCCC, there are teams of youth aged 18 to 26. They travel from site to site and they complete service projects in communities around the United States. The teams are usually around 8 to 12 individuals. They travel together. They have transportation and their food is typically covered. The teams will work for 3 to 13 weeks at one site or at a site in partnership with other organizations where they might be able to split their time. There's no cost to the organizations to have a team of NCCC members come in, but organizations do need to help them find housing for the team and access to a place where they have a food or kitchen to make meals. And when I say housing, it doesn't have to be like hotel lodging, although that's an option. But oftentimes teams stay in church basements where they have, showers and restrooms and a kitchen. Oftentimes they can stay at camping sites. They're really flexible young adults here, and a really cool program for short-term impact of very energetic young people that just want to come and get things done in your community.
It's very exciting. So say an organization on this call if they served, let's just say, their community and not a national or broader region or something, who would they kind of tap into if, say, they needed some of this, like hiking trails done or something?
Mm-hmm.
Would they apply for an NCC group, or would they apply to someone who has an NCC group?
So if a community organization sees that they have a need that NCCC could help fulfill, which again, it could be clearing trails, but it also could be in the summertime, it could be teaching youth programs. We often think about NCCC as being more like this, like building things, but it can be lots of different things. They could reach out to us and we could direct them to the correct NCCC contact person for wherever they're located in the United States.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. And then just on the other side, do NCCC members, do they serve for a period of time too, or do they?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. So they usually serve for 10 months. And then if they want to, they can re-up. And I did see in the chat that somebody asked if a VITA program would qualify for an NCCC group. I am aware of VITA programs having NCCC groups come in and work with them. So yes, that would be something that would qualify.
And just for everyone's information, I don't know the exact acronym, but it's the Volunteer Tax Assistance.
Yeah.
That's the VITA or VITA program or whatever. So yeah, that's interesting. Great.
Also, I could add a little bit also there. So primarily you hear of NCCC, that would be like disaster response or FEMA Corps. But if your organization is interested in applying to be a sponsor for an NCC team, like Michelle was just saying, then you would just complete the project concept form, and then you submit it to the local NCCC office, and then they would reach back out to you.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Great. Wonderful. Okay, so I know we also have the most of these so far have been a little bit more geared towards youth, although not exclusively. But
Correct.
we do have our senior program. So can you talk to us about those as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So AmeriCorps senior programs engage volunteers that are 55 and older. So there's 3 different programs. We're going to do a little bit of breakdown between the 3 programs, but there's a potential for your organization to collaborate with some of these AmeriCorps senior programs that are probably already in your community and you just might not know about them.
Excellent. And so on this slide here, we have 3. Are these the 3 different senior programs then?
Yes, they sure are. So the first column there is our foster grandparent program. We love acronyms at this agency, so I'm trying really hard to say everything out. That's the foster grandparent program. They are 55 and older, as I stated. They serve they receive an hourly stipend for the work that they receive. It is currently $4.15 an hour. We've been really lucky to be able to up those stipends over the last couple years. Congress has really supported us financially in making that happen. And they do direct service with youth in educational settings. So there is a minimum number of hours that they have to serve a week. I believe it's been reduced to 5. It is an amazing program, but they can work in schools, Head Starts. Sometimes in the summer, they'll work in library programs or other, educational settings and summer programming, but great program. The middle one there is our senior companion program. Again, 55 and older, they also receive a stipend for the work that they do, and they are providing direct service in a companionship role. So they might go to a client's home and take them to the grocery store and get some groceries, or they might just sit and talk with them and spend time with them. They might do some light household chores. They are not medical assistants, but they are companions, and they provide a really great service to help keep people, as engaged and out of senior living facilities as long as possible, and improve people's quality of life. And then the last one, the RSVP program, this is a very traditional volunteer program. It is 55 and older, but they can do any type of service activities that a community needs. So that might be, there might be an RSVP program in one of these agencies' communities where they go, I could really use an influx of some volunteers for X event that I'm doing. They could get in touch with their local RSVP program and see if there are volunteers within their program that would be willing to help out. Or it might even be a long-term volunteer organization or program. So if you had a couple volunteer type activities that you're thinking of that you could utilize someone to come in your organization a few times a week, you could reach out to the RSVP program and say, hey, this is what we're looking for. There's some, of course, some paperwork involved, but it's a really great program because they can do lots of different types of service.
That's excellent. So I like how we're kind of also hearing like these different, I don't know, almost like levels of like you can apply as an organization or you can partner in with other established programs, and so there's a lot of ways to utilize these different programs moving forward. So yeah.
Yes, you absolutely hit the nail on the head there. There are lots of ways to be involved with AmeriCorps in your community.
Yep.
And this slide kind of goes over again the 3 programs we talked about that fall under the AmeriCorps umbrella: the VISTA, the AmeriCorps State National, and the NCCC. VISTA is full-time for a full year. State and National is a little bit variable. NCCC is 10 to 12 months. The VISTA does that capacity building or indirect service. The AmeriCorps State and National does the more direct service, and NCCC does the direct service, but it's for short. The difference with the NCCC there is it's a very short commitment in your community.
Excellent. Great. So I know we have here some information that possibly Sean and or Michelle wants to talk about, but how organizations on our call today can get more information about applying for these opportunities or connecting in with resources that might exist in their communities without being, without being the actual applicant necessarily.
Yeah, I'm going to pass this to Sean and let him talk. I'm sure everybody's tired of hearing me.
So primarily, I'm reading the questions also as they're popping up, and primarily AmeriCorps provides people power. There are some grant programs that do provide dollars, but what I was going to do is I'm going to drop a link that actually has all of our funding opportunities that are currently active and open right now. And in each of those opportunities kind of do explain what you would be awarded if you applied for that particular grant, if that's helpful.
I'm sure it would be. Everyone's probably really interested in knowing how to kind of get access to these different opportunities. Things like, so we have the list here of different places. Again, when you guys get the slides and or use the link Sean put in there, you can, find out where some of these RFPs are or whatever. But is there like a minimum number of members? So let's say I'm in my community and I really need help with, let's say, healthy living, so kind of the community garden idea. And so I want to find some AmeriCorps members to help out. And let's say it's the traditional, state, and national. Are there minimums that organizations have to go for in order to apply? Like, so do you have to apply for 10 members or 20 members or anything like that? Or is there limits either way on that?
So
I think each commission has their, for the AmeriCorps State and National, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but they set what the smallest amount of AmeriCorps State and National members you could have if you were going to apply for them. Now for
Correct.
VISTA, we have no limits. And the other piece about VISTA that is really important is the regional office that you're working with. The VISTA is not a competitive grant. So if we can actually work with you on developing the concept paper and the full application, which is really helpful to folks that have never applied for federal resources before, because it can be very daunting. And it's a really nice gateway into our AmeriCorps resources because we have as much flexibility as possible to help you with that application. Also, Sean, really can you drop down your 2 to everyone so that everyone can see that link that you posted? Because right now it's just for hosts and panelists.
Yes, thank you. 1 second.
Yeah, that's really, I didn't know that about the VISTA that you guys provided, because I mean, they are, it's new terms, new kind of ways of thinking or ways that you have to put the application together. So knowing that there's those human resources and brains out there to help you think through it and do it correctly and get things set up well is really, really helpful. And I also think, and this is just kind of my opinion, but if you're like looking at any of these programs, to find some of the current programs that are out there and start talking to those organizations that have applied before, as to just, what went well, what was kind of a hassle, what was our challenge. And the other side of that is also, what resources can you provide to me? Because you have to have a member handbook, for example, to help your members and train your members and recruit and retain them. And so like other programs, you can usually kind of get their information and then not start from scratch on everything. So connecting in with other organizations that have done this could also be a really good first step, as you're kind of looking at these programs to kind of figure out where you might fit or how you would fit or different things like that.
That's a great point, and I love that.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the best things about Vista is we can really work with the organization as they're coming with their concept that they want to formalize. They can work with us at the regional office level, and we can help explain, say if there's questions about is this direct or is this indirect? Well, does this fall in line of what the notice of funding or like the Vista requirements are?
Mhm.
Vista, as Michelle was saying, is not competitive. So we really do, we have that leeway to work with the organization directly to get, help you get the program.
Absolutely. And here's another question that that might help some of our organizations, but would a faith-based organization be able to apply for these opportunities?
Absolutely. We work with a lot of faith-based organizations. I'm thinking about in Michigan, in our portfolio, we work with several different local Catholic charities that sponsor our AmeriCorps Seniors programs. We find that faith-based organizations are great conveners of communities, and we rely on them a lot because they're out in the communities every single day meeting people where they're at. And so faith-based partners are an absolute A-OK in our book. There are some stipulations about, proselytizing, things like that, but we haven't found that has been an issue, and most organizations are happy to, make sure that those requests are kept.
Absolutely. Excellent. So I know we have links here and we can kind of start to wrap up and for questions. But kind of curious, so I'm seeing these might be national, or these would be national opportunities or national websites. You guys have this region thing. How could, we have lots of regions across the United States on this call, so they find their regional office, in addition to this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I believe all of the regions are on our AmeriCorps website with the
Okay.
contact information for their state. So again, we have regional administrators for each of our regions. Ours is Heather Foster. Under her, she has a deputy regional administrator and then senior portfolio managers. But all of the contact information for all of the regions across the United States should be on our main AmeriCorps website with their contact information. Also, Sean and I are happy to provide our email addresses and steer people in the right direction if they have questions or can't find it.
Yeah, I was able
Excellent.
to find it real quick, and I dropped it in the chat, Michelle.
Oh, excellent. Oh, great.
You're the best,
Yeah,
Sean.
and teamwork. And we'll get their email addresses in the chat, and then we'll also send it out with the slides when we do that. Here's just a little bit of a recap of information of some of the amazing work that's been done by the programs. And I think we could see what questions we have.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Michelle. That was awesome. So we do have a few questions that kind of were in the chat that we didn't necessarily get to, or in the Q&A as well. So just to let you know, if you do have a question, go ahead and jump to the Q&A section and enter them there. It's just a little easier to keep track of those. So one question from Mary Jane was, regarding, an AmeriCorps NCC team, can you simultaneously apply for a few of the AmeriCorps programs, or are you limited to one at a time?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. We actually have many organizations that we work with that have multiple streams of AmeriCorps with them. So that is absolutely allowable. We have several community partners that have AmeriCorps seniors, and then they also have Vista, or we have many projects that have AmeriCorps state and national members and then also get Vista, or have brought in an NCCC team. So yeah, absolutely. There's multiple ways people can get involved, and they can apply for as many different streams of resources that we have.
Okay, that's great. And then one question that was in the chat earlier on, as a relatively new recipient of AmeriCorps Vista grantees, we have 4 Vista members. Are we eligible to apply for an AmeriCorps member as well?
So yeah, whoever asked that question, I would encourage them to go right to their state's commission. And again, you should be able to find that, find their website or find their link to their website on our AmeriCorps.gov website, and reach out to them directly about AmeriCorps state and national resources in your state.
Okay, great. Then also in the chat, Anna said, is there any chance to extend the deadline for the 2023 Days of Service grants?
So Anna, unfortunately, that is way above my pay grade. But I would.
I heard the word deadline and I was like, no.
I would encourage you, if you're having any sort of trouble applying for that, there should be on that NOFA, there should be a contact information. I would reach out to the contact directly and go ahead and explain whatever issues that are arising and get some assistance on that.
Okay. Good. Then another question in the Q&A, Mary Jane said, our nonprofit has applied 2 times and both times been denied because we operate with an all-volunteer staff. We've been told to partner with a larger nonprofit who will act as a supervisor of AmeriCorps Vista. How do nonprofits in rural communities get going with AmeriCorps? Yeah,
that's really great. That's a great question. We have in the past provided Vista volunteers to organizations that are all volunteer based, but there is going to be a little bit more, I don't want to say scrutiny, but you're going to have to explain to us how that member will be supervised full time, which is a lot more difficult when it's an all volunteer organization. So I would encourage you to continue to reach out to the regional office in your area and continue to talk to them about how you might be able to supervise those Vista members and provide them the oversight and the training and the technical assistance and everything they need with a volunteer staff. It's doable, but it is a lot harder for sure. But I would continue to work directly with those partners.
Perfect. Good advice from Mary Jane. Then Daniel said, do we need to apply for RSVP volunteers or FGP volunteers, or do we contact to see if options are available nearby?
Yeah, so we do occasionally have open NOFOs for RSVP and FGP, but that's usually only if an existing organization has relinquished their project and no longer can support that project in their community. So what I would encourage folks to do is reach out to their regional office and find out if there are FGP or RSVP already in their community and get their contact information and go directly to them. Because let's say you just are looking for just a couple volunteers, just reach out to your local RSVP program. Or if you're just looking to get FGPs to help in an educational setting, you could just reach out directly to that organization. Because the organizations, when we fund AmeriCorps senior projects, we're typically funding like 50 to 75 volunteers that are placed all over a community. So if you're just looking for a small amount, then yeah, reach out to that regional contact in your area and see about who to contact in your community or county about getting volunteers.
All right. Then Tammy said, what is Healthy Futures? So could you expand a little bit more about what that program entails?
Sean, do you want to take a little bit about Healthy Futures and what that entails?
If you want to, go. Feel free. I don't have it pulled up at the moment.
Healthy Futures can encompass a lot of things. Actually, it can encompass like rural health. It can encompass food programs or providing food in food deserts. It can include, obviously, during COVID, we had some folks out actually doing vaccines or helping set up like mobile clinics and things like that. So it can really encompass a lot of things that a healthy lifestyle or healthy living would include.
Okay, that's pretty diverse.
And in addition, if I could, because I just thought about that as we're talking about it, there is another new stream, a new program that AmeriCorps offers. It's a PHA AmeriCorps, which is kind of tied towards the allied health field. So you could find information about PHA opportunities. I know every year, I think we're in our second year now. It's a competitive PHA grant opportunity that you would apply through AmeriCorps for your, if you have like an allied health or a nonprofit that, you know, kind of is in that field.
So like in public, like the public health, is that what PHA stands for? Like public health?
Public health AmeriCorps, yep.
AmeriCorps, okay, yep.
All right. Then Adam says, it looks like my state has already closed their application window. Is there a chance to apply for either VISTA or AmeriCorps for 23-24, or will there be another RFP later this year for the 24 calendar year?
Oh, great question. So each state commission sets their own deadlines for their AmeriCorps state and national, but with VISTA, we actually accept applications on a quarterly basis. So 4 times a year we accept applications. So that is a rolling basis when it comes to VISTA.
Perfect. All right. Then it looks like one more question from Megan. If you start a project with VISTA, FPG, or NCCC support and have to alter the scope of the project after it starts, how is that handled?
Yeah, so, excuse me. You would just work with the staff here at AmeriCorps to make those changes. It happens a lot. I see it particularly a lot in VISTA, where you kind of start down one path and you realize we did not think this through all the way, or some research came out that you just weren't going in the right direction. And so you would work directly with your portfolio manager at AmeriCorps if it's with VISTA, or you'd work directly with the commission if it was AmeriCorps State National to kind of modify that. And that happens often. It's not an uncommon thing.
Visit GrantStation to see our latest online education offerings in the form of live webinars, interactive workshops, and on-demand learning. GrantStation.com, your fast track to funding and online education.